Hello, this is Eddie Barragon, and I'm here to give my presentation on autorhythmic slides. I appreciate your consideration, and I look forward to presenting the information available and hopefully being able to teach and give some insight on the issue of autorhythmic cells and how they function in the body. Thank you very much. So, cardiac pacemaker cells generate electrical activity, and the measurement of this electrical activity is done in millivolts over a certain period of time, typically milliseconds. So the importance of understanding the electrical activity within cardiac cells, and basically it helps medical professionals and scientists and researchers understand to what extent the action potential is of a certain reaction within the cardiovascular system. With pacemaker cells in particular, this provides insight into the production of artificial pacemakers. And this is what allows research to know exactly what currents or voltages the body needs and can also withstand. Anything under would be deficient, anything over could be detrimental. So this is the basis of the importance of cardiac pacemaker cells. That's basically the main goal and main issue I'm trying to get at, is that the overall scope is for the main purpose of benefiting medical devices and improving pacemaker technology within patients. So going into a little bit more detail into autorhythmic cells and how they work, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail into their action potentials in just a second, but some key characteristics of autorhythmic cells. The cells are self-excitable. So in other words, what that means is that they are able to generate action potential without external stimulation. That's something that's quite unique to them. Most other cells, especially cells with any kind of electrical neural input, typically need a catalyst or something to jumpstart or trigger a reaction to get them going. So that in and of itself is quite unique and amazing characteristic of autorhythmic cells. Now, for the action potential of autorhythmic cells, they're not like nervous and skeletal muscle cells. They do not have a stable resting membrane potential, as in they don't have a flat line that they are constantly resting at, like those other cell types. Instead, what they have is a volatile, unstable membrane potential. It starts roughly at 60 millivolts and drifts relatively upward towards the threshold, the respective threshold of what the action potential and the certain reaction would be. Then it goes up and down, flows depending on basically periods and bouts of activity and inactivity. Because the membrane potential never rests at a constant value, that so as I was explaining and going into, because autorhythmic cells don't have a particular resting value, that is what causes them to create what is known as the pacemaker current, basically. The volatile up and down, variable refresh rate of the action potential. So a little bit more into the expansion, or as I like to call it, into the structure and overall purpose of autorhythmic cells. So cardiac pacemaker cells, they are the ones that are responsible for the constant electrical current that is found in the heart tissues. Again, that is their namesake. The pacemaker function of the heart. The technology of artificial pacemakers is based entirely on the activity of these specialized types of cells. They are what initiates the entire cardiac cycle or pumping of the heart, allowing the blood to fill the heart and cardiac system in a relatively constant, well, definitely constant, various cycle of up and down action potential, depending on blood flow, depending on blood need, depending on oxygenated blood levels. There's a lot of factors that go in that determines the action potential of the autorhythmic cells. So, in addition, they provide a conduction system to coordinate the contraction of cells throughout the heart. So, yeah, basically, like what I'm saying is that the action potential and coordination of these types of cells are what allows the heart to pump as specifically as it does, and at the rate that it does. The heart basically uses its movement in conjunction with whatever the action potential or electrical signaling of what the cardiac pacemaker cells would determine it to do. So that is the overall kind of breakdown of these types of cells. They're a very unique and specialized type of cell, and yeah, they're critical for medical research and overall understanding the health of the human body. Thank you. So in conclusion, autorhythmic cells provide a great service to our bodies. They serve as an important function to our circulatory systems and the homeostasis of our bodies overall. The electrical activity that they conduct has proved invaluable research purposes, specifically for the creation and use of artificial pacemakers, which has saved millions of lives. And, there are many people alive today who have pacemakers implanted in them. And this type of technology is actually, it's not terribly complex in principle, but the research that went into it over a period of years and even decades is astounding. So they are a very important type of cell. They often don't get the recognition or consideration that they deserve when it comes to how to properly research or look into cardiac issues. But I do think on a biochemical level, their complexity is one of the most defining factors of autorhythmic cells and the overall impact that they have. So yeah, that has been my presentation on autorhythmic cells. I guess the key takeaways that I would notate would be that their action potential is a volatile one, and they are responsible for the contraction of the heart around it, allowing blood flow to take place and allowing blood flow to be maintained, particularly, and a lot of the systems around that react specifically to the current of the electrical activity that these cells produce. So they are the main, I guess, initiators or referees almost. I like to think of it that way. So thank you again for my presentation on autorhythmic cells and listening and paying attention and considering what I have to say about it. This has been Eddie Barragon.